Okay, we're on the internet. You think Switzerland, this is for you, Avik, you think Switzerland has the best healthcare system in the world. How do they control costs without controlling profit? Well, what is their system, first of all?
Yeah,
it's a bit of a hybrid, right?
Well, the Swiss system is actually a lot like what the Obamacare subsidized insurance exchanges are like, and it's a lot like what Paul Ryan proposed for Medicare reforms, where you get a subsidy to shop for an insurance plan where the market is defined by the government. The government defines what the insurance plan has to look like, and then you get a subsidy depending on how wealthy you are or how healthy or sick you are.
In which case, in Switzerland, it would be all.
Well, no, so some people are still poor in Switzerland or lower income, and they get a bigger subsidy.
You can't really be comparing Switzerland. A country of how many, 6 million?
I think it's 7 million or something.
7
like
million.
Well,
and almost all of them don't have Swiss citizenship. You know, that most of them are guests.
Right.
I know, I spent a summer there.
But you know, economics are economics. The laws of economics don't magically get suspended when you go to Switzerland.
No, but the laws of economics do change if you're talking about a country of 7 million with no poor people versus a country of 300 million with lots of poor people.
Look, I would say that I would say that in terms of, you know, how healthy the Swiss are, the fact they hike up mountains and ski down them, yeah, we don't really do that. But in terms of the way they organize their health insurance, again, Obamacare's exchange are the same way. If we applied that system broadly to the Medicare population, to the Medicaid population, what that would do is it would allow us to spend more money on the poor. We'd actually have a better program than Medicaid today because we'd pay doctors more, pay hospitals more to take care of the poor, and we wouldn't subsidize health care for the wealthy. Right now, our taxes go to subsidize government-sponsored health insurance for Mitt Romney and Arianna Huffington and, you know, Warren Buffett. Why should we be spending money to give people government health insurance that can afford to buy health insurance for themselves?
I don't know. When you say we give more to the doctors and hospitals, I'm not sure that's going to trickle down. You know, last week we were talking about Stephen Brill's article in Time magazine where he said, you know, he did a line-by-line study of it, you know, and they're charging $55 for a niacin tablet.
Sure. It's a terrible.
Okay.
Hospitals do a lot of terrible stuff, and a universal system would help deal with that.
But a law against price gouging.
The point that you made about the Swiss hiking and eating food that's not as processed and full of sugar and all the stuff that you're mentioning in your editorial, I mean, that makes a difference in the kind of healthcare system you have. And that's really what we need to change.
I broke my ankle in Australia, and they allow your friends to bring you beer, saving the hospital the charge. And that's a true story.
Bring you beer?
Let's bring it in. Break your ankle, they whisk you away in an ambulance, and your friends
But they have
bring you beer.
universal health care, right?
They sure do.
Yeah, I mean...
But
the
beer I get in the hospital is ridiculously overpriced.
Exactly. Exactly.
Price gouging is...
And watery, too.
Watery.
And St. Paulie's girl.
Yeah.
Well, the point is that there's market-oriented ways to have universal coverage, and conservatives should get over this idea that universal coverage is bad. You know, we're the wealthiest country in the world. We can easily afford to cover everyone, and we can do it in a way that's more attuned to our values, consumer choice. You know, we can do that.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
All right. David Cross, do you think the Twitter release of your movie has forever changed the future of film distribution?
Sure.
Well, tell them what
It was
referring to.
As a joke, there's a movie coming out called It's a Disaster, which is video on demand coming out in the theaters on April 12th. But they put it on Vine, the 6-second GIF thing, and it was kind of meant as a joke. Well, obviously meant as a joke. And but a lot of people, Hollywood Reporter, I think, and a number of places picked it up as a real legitimate thing, like as if that's going. You can release a movie in 6-second GIFs. There's some dumb people. There's some really
they're really
people.
Really
so in
are.
that sense, yes, it'll change. But it was all organic, all locally sourced.
Do you get paid every 6 seconds?
You get every 6 seconds.
Do you get paid every 6 seconds?
Yes, a fairy comes and gives me a penny.
There you go.
Arianna, what do you think, the question says, is the most important issue concerning women in 2013? As a spokesman for all women. And all women do look up to you, that's true.
As a spokeswoman for all Greek women.
The most important issue. What is their most important issue?
I think the most important issue is something that we touched a little bit in the show, which is Women have to lead the way to redefine what success is. And that also goes back a little bit to your early question about happiness versus greed versus the stock market. Because we now have two metrics of success, money and power. And that's not enough, because there should be a third metric, which is our own well-being. Your court is all
Pursuit of happiness.
Exactly, like how healthy are you? How fulfilled are you?
Right.
How meaningful is your life? I mean, for me, if you have the corner office and billions of dollars and you have a heart attack in your 50s because you're working around the clock and you don't take care of yourself, is that success?
I think the most important issue concerning women is air. I think it's all of it, and men too, I would say, the air. Yes, air, that stuff you need to breathe. Global warming, just water that's getting polluted. And
My wife hates when I breathe. There you go again.
Okay, final question, Michael Steele. Why should we expect any rebranding of the GOP to benefit anyone but the GOP? Well, you could say that about any party.
Well, you can say that about any party, but I think the rebranding for the party is important. Otherwise, it becomes more irrelevant than it is right now. And I think that the fact of the matter is that the political grounds have shifted. The leadership is stuck in a time warp of thinking that America will come back to it because they don't like what they see out on this scary plane. Either it's Barack Obama or it's mandated health care. Without having to make a cogent argument, without having to understand that America is much more black and brown than it ever has been and will be.
It seems like when you were the chairman, when they made you the chairman of the party, that was rebranding, and then they wanted to unrebrand.
Exactly.
They were like, whoa, what the fuck did we do there? That's not who we are. We're the party of old white guys. This is false advertising.
What does branding do?
Yeah.
Branding's just a brand. It's called substance.
But the branding, you're right. Ultimately, you've got to get to substance. There's no doubt about it. But the branding is the way you begin the conversation, is to make that attraction, to get people to focus on what you're about to say.
Well, since it's Women's Day, 75% of the country, more or less, is white. 75% of the voters, more or less, is white. And 40% of all voters are white women. It's time Republicans started talking to their daughters. Don't come out with some crazy abortion shit every 4 years.
Well, married people vote Republican, single people vote Democrat, and there are more single people and less married people. That's part of the Democrat.
And they shouldn't give up on black people. Black people are conservative.
Well, conservative. And that's exactly the point. When you have an attitude that says they won't vote for us, so why bother? Or you do what we see now, where you take a Marco Rubio, you take someone, you put them out in front and say, see, we have one too. That is not.
Yeah, what is he?
That is not what America's looking for. They're looking for the substance, and they're looking for the party and its leadership to understand how we're changing. And look, for 2 years, for that one brief shining moment, that we were able to have a conversation. We had the opportunity to expand. We've contracted since, and now we've got to go forward. Otherwise, we go, like the Whigs.
Okay. Thank you very much, panel. Thank you, audience. We'll see you next week.
Real Time with Bill Maher, Friday night at 10. Ask Bill and his guests your questions right after the show at HBO.com.